my next guest is also a very special person. He is a dear friend in my life. He is my number one mentor, go-to mensch, and he is someone who has a tremendous amount of experience in the television industry. He's worked for huge names, which I'm not going to say, we'll have him share, but he's worked for many of the 3 letters, if you will, and some 4 letters, maybe 5 letters too. But he also brings his own sense of dynamic and sophistication, professionalism as an entrepreneur. He has his own organization that is focused on teams. He's going to tell us more about it. But what I want to really share that Al Cini is probably the best friend you could ever have. Let's welcome him to the show. Hey there.
That is a great testimonial. Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. But let me tell you, it's not easy to be friends with people. Sometimes it's a kind of a challenge, and it's never a challenge with you. So it's so easy to be your friend, and it's so much fun. And every now and then we get a chance to. I'm sorry I didn't get your backdrop. Your backdrop is gorgeous.
Thank
you.
But
we kind of rearranged the schedule. I want to talk to you about resilience. Because yes. I think it's appropriate, especially today. I mean, all right, I don't know whether you've had a chance on your program, on the reunion program yet, to talk about some of the challenges you're dealing with in the moment right now. Have you had a chance to tell people about that?
I did. In the opening monologue, I told them about the fact that my apartment was flooded for the 2nd year in a row, almost to the day.
Unbelievable.
And so last night we had the Cherry Hill Police Department, the Cherry Hill Fire Department, the maintenance people, and the recon people out here. And the last people left just before 1 a.m. So we've got about 25 industrial-sized fans in here right now. So the studio's trashed. And so I moved the green screen into the kitchen, and I have no heat because the one heater was burnt out and the other one turns off all of the heaters. It just, it flips the switch, so to speak. So I'm here in the kitchen in my coat doing this show.
Your coat is very becoming. And I don't know whether maybe people don't appreciate it. I even though I don't have your backdrop, I have my backdrop.
It's beautiful.
It's snowing. Yeah, well, yeah, it is beautiful. But I mean, sooner or later, somebody has to come and clean it up. That won't be me.
I told you it's troubling.
There's somebody in our economy needs money, and I'll offer them that in exchange for cleaning this mess up when it's all done. But in the middle of everything that you're dealing with, this is going on. So It's not like you can just pick up what you do and move to a Starbucks you can't even travel in this weather. That's
No, I can't. It's funny, Al, because last night I had to make the decision if I was going to go to a hotel or not. So I asked the recon people how long they were going to be here because they wanted me to stay here. And they said probably just until about 1. And I knew the snow was moving in. So I thought, you know what, I will just stay here and tough it out. I'm here because no one can do anything until maybe Monday afternoon. So until then, I have my wireless headphones. I love them. I don't know where I put them, but they have been like a godsend because they just they block out the noise. So it's really good. But I want to talk about you. So you and I met at a TV station that's no longer in business under that name. And we did not know each other at all. And we started doing some morning coffee shows together. But you had already been with the station for a long time. So that engagement that you and I had working together, I knew I was with a true professional because I had no television experience whatsoever. And as I mentioned in your intro, you've worked for some of the major networks. If you want to name drop, you can. But you are someone who understands the television industry. So can you share with our audience, in reference to television, a little bit about your background, and then we'll move on from there?
Sure. With reference to television in particular, I see you gave me the whole screen. That's terrifying. With respect to television, I've worked at NBC, ABC, just recently finished a project for ABC, and I've done a little bit of work for ESPN, which is also a Disney property, as ABC is. And my end of it generally is the technical end of it. So I'm not so much in front of the camera as I'm in the data center more than anything. How do we connect all these widgets to each other so that we can make television come out the other end? But But I can say from my experience, having worked on productions, the technical end of the productions, you do get a fair amount of exposure to the in front of the camera end of it too. And one of the things I have to give you a lot of credit for, and I keep throwing it back to you, is that nothing ever works the way you expect it to. Everything always goes off the rails. And the challenge in life really is to be, I don't want to say prepared for that. The more you are, the more authentic to yourself you are, the more comfortably you can deal with situations that come up like the one you had to face. And in real television, that kind of stuff happens all the time. I mean, there are floods and there are on-set disasters and there are things that require that you all of a sudden pivot from where you are to where you need to be in order for the show to go on. And sometimes the best product you get are the products you get under circumstances like that. Not the rehearsed ones, not the practiced ones, but the spontaneous ones, especially the resilient ones that deal with adversity. And I think this is like another example of it. If there's anything I hope you got from the time that we've spent together, it's that it's you. It's not a persona that you create. It's not a costume that you put on. It's you, and that's with you wherever you go, no matter what your circumstances are. And I think you're really good at projecting yourself that way. And I'm amazed. This is really kind of an example of it. You're doing great. You really are, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, Al. I do want to go back, way back 4 years ago, maybe even 5, because it was Rapping with Dr. Jacqueline before USA Global TV and Radio. And I remember you and I were doing a show together. I think it was the business show. And I remember you saying to me, what voice are you using? Because I was like, hello and welcome to...
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Rapping with Dr. Jacqueline. Yeah, that's the announcer voice. I know.
Exactly. But that really resonated with me. It's like, no, you have to be your authentic self. That's not who I am.
It's a lot easier. I mean, if I mean, my original time slot on your program today, a little bit of a reveal for everybody, was 10:30. And you asked if we can do it 15 minutes earlier. And yeah, sure. I mean, if I'm going to go with whatever I prepared for 10:30 and move it to 10:15 and pretend that we didn't move it, then I'm just going to look awkward and clumsy and unnatural. I mean, you tell me when the camera's on. Let's start our conversation. Let's talk about whatever comes up. Let's let the chips fall where they may. Let's be honest with each other. And I think that's what ultimately people want out of an experience when they tune into, especially a production like this. I think they just want to see real people just answering questions, and you can do that anytime. So, if you want me to keep talking about me,
yeah, I do. I want you to talk about your work as an entrepreneur, and then we'll go into something that we're actually doing together for the good of humanity.
Well, I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody who was trying to figure me out, and because I grapple with that myself sometimes. I mean, I'm not a linear thinker. I mean, I'm a project manager. So let's wheel it back to the work that I've done for television networks, for example. But I've had other kinds of clients too. I am a project manager. My job is to work with the resources that are available to me to make sure that a good product is a result of all the effort we put into it, that we get a good result from it. Often the actual result we get, it varies from what we originally imagined it was going to be, because people add value in unpredictable ways sometimes, and you've got to be open to that. A successful project isn't necessarily one that goes according to plan. A successful project is a project that makes it possible for the plan to evolve and often improve. Not under leadership. It's not something. I'm definitely kind of a lead from behind kind of a guy. I mean, we talk about servant leadership from time to time, and I think it's more about the people that work on the project, but they need to be inspired and they need to be guided and they need to be encouraged. And if you do that, if you've got 30 people on a team, instead of 5 people doing all the work and the other 25 people kind of watching them, you can get those other 25 people engaged at whatever level they feel they can make a contribution. And often what they contribute is more valuable, or at least as valuable, let's say, as what the 5 superstars produce every day. I mean, in every project, there are a small group of people that just know the stuff and they're really good at everything. But it's the other people that really make the difference. And you need to go find them and talk to them. And in order to do that, you need to overcome blind spots. A big blind spot is having favorites. I like working with these 3 guys. So I'll tend to spend more time with them than I do with the other 27. And when you do that, you diminish the effect of the team you're trying to lead. It's also not fair. It's unjust, for one thing. But aside from that, aside from the moral and ethical issues, you don't get as good a product as you get when everybody's engaged in it. And at the end of the day, when you have a party, you want everybody to be celebrating everybody's participation, not just the fruits of a few people's labors. And everything about what I'm doing now as an entrepreneur for Profit for Teams, and this is getting back to that conversation I had yesterday where people were trying to figure me out. Profit for Teams is an organizational development program. It is a team development program. We used to refer to it as team building. Oh, thank you for putting that up. Pro-fit4teams.com. It's easy to go and learn more about it. My partner in this effort, by the way, is Lisa Manioki, and she has done a brilliant job on the website and dealing with me, which she would need to join the program in order to explain. But she's just done a brilliant job doing what we need done in order to get the word out, to get the message out. Profit for Teams is about trying to create a reliable, repeatable process for exactly what I described. How do we get everybody on a team? And we define team as any group of people that have a common mission or goal in mind. How do we get everybody on a team to work together in a more collaborative way so that everybody's contributions are the best that he or she can offer in the moment, whatever that might be? So, to me anyway, a highly effective, highly functioning, very successful team is a team where everybody gets to celebrate their accomplishments, even though nobody was exactly able to predict what they might be even a week ago. I mean, every now and then there's a little miracle that comes from somebody you don't hear from. You want those miracles because those miracles are what make the project worth working on, and it's what makes the result better. So, Profit for Teams is about trying to package that process, and that's really pretty much what that's about. So I don't know. Does that answer? Oh, the conversation I had yesterday. This is pretty funny. So are you going to make money with this? I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, so are you going to make money with this? Have you ever heard that question, by the way, Dr. Jacqueline?
All the time. What's the return on investment?
Oh, ROI. And, I'm heartened by the fact that I'm hearing the question less and less these days, because more and more, I think people are beginning to realize that that business is a human experience. It's not just a profit-making experience. Now, profit and revenue are important, obviously, and you need to have a commercially marketable solution that people are willing to invest their time and their money in. So, and that's important, but it's not paramount. It's not what drives people. What drives people is something, whenever you say it's not about the money, you really have to kind of mean it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I'd be selling insurance. I mean, why not just open up an insurance? We can open up an insurance brokerage, and if you need life insurance, I can sell you a policy. Uh, there are ways to make money, and by the way, not knocking that. I know wonderful people in the insurance business, and a lot of them need, by the way, Profit for Teams. I mean, they may not realize it, but in their organizations, even organizations like accounting firms and insurance companies can use team development, where the goal is to get everybody to contribute. You want everybody to pick up an oar. You want everybody to row, not just a couple of people. And that's what we do with Profit for Teams. But anyway, I'm not in it so much for the money as I'm in it for the fact that I know this is a problem, and that it's most people just sort of chalk it off to human nature and say, well, but people are just like this, and there's nothing you can do about it. No, there are lots that you can do about it. There are actually several things that you can do about improving human nature, or aligning human nature, let's say, with what it is you're trying to accomplish in your business, whatever that might be. And a lot of it has to do with reframing your own role in your business or in your organization or as a team leader. Yeah, maybe have to reframe your role as a leader a little bit in order to bring out the best in the people that report to you. Because really, leadership is something everybody has. And the more of it you've got, the less centralized it is in one person, the better result you get. And that's some of the best experiences I've had as a project manager. And I've been managing projects for mostly media, but lots of other companies too, now for a long time, are at the end of the project when people say things like, well, we're not exactly sure what you do, Al, but we want you to keep doing it because whatever it is, we get terrific results from it. And it's not you doing it, it's us doing it with you, kind of making us feel good about it. And anyway, for me, that's kind of the holy grail. And delivering that service is what ProFit for Teams is about. It's really about getting teams onto a path where they feel they can be productive and make contributions, individual members. And it's about the joy of the work and not the profit. The profit flows, when a project is successful, but it's about the joy of the work. It's about waking up in the morning and looking forward to what you're going to be doing that day rather than dreading it. And a work day isn't something to be endured, it's something to be celebrated. Even when your heater explodes and pipes burst and your apartment gets flooded, and that, I think that thing that draws you, that pulls you forward, that mission that you're on, is what enriches and lights the world. And okay, and I need you to come back on because I'm going to ask you about the not-for-profit next. Because think about it, we've just talked about how it isn't about profit. And in a conversation we had about a month ago, you and I talked about the mission you're actually on, and a light kind of went on. Maybe you can talk about that and what that's led to.
Well, you and I were having a conversation, as we always do. It's always fascinating. And you shared with me that basically, because of the fact that everything we do here is based on giving people a voice, giving the voiceless a place to speak, it's about gratitude, compassion, and empathy, and elevated listening. You were the one who came up with the idea, and together we're making it happen with some other individuals to start a nonprofit called USA Global Voices of Humanity Foundation. So we had our first board meeting, which was, I think, 2 weeks ago, or I think it was 2 weeks ago. And so now it's on me to file for the 501c3, which I'll be doing. I didn't expect this to happen because I was going to do it yesterday. But after that, we will be moving forward, and I will be actively soliciting donations for people to be able to share their voice through some type of media project, whether it's at USA Global or somewhere else. So Al, my question for you is, and I think this is an interesting discussion for anyone who is for profit and has a non-for-profit. There's a boundary that has to be set so that there's certain boundaries set up, certain lines don't get crossed if you are an entrepreneur with a for-profit and a non-for-profit. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that's something we spend a lot of time talking about, and I know that worries you. And the reason why it worries you is the reason why it'll never be a problem for you. You are fundamentally an ethical person, and that is, I mean, for a lot of people, you put money in a pile and you give them access to it, and then all of a sudden that money ends up applied to things like mortgages and car payments, and I mean, it's I hate to say it, it's in the news. There are people out there who kind of lose sight of the purpose of the money that they get from people, and start misdirecting it elsewhere because they have other life problems they need to solve, and maybe they even have in the back of their minds, well, I'll pay it back once I get this thing rolling. I'll take the new money that I get in, and I'll replace the old money that I misappropriated. I mean, and maybe they have that in their minds, but it's not a problem for you because it's something that would never enter your mind in the first place. So I know you've been spending a lot of time considering that you do have a for-profit that is very much Dr. Jacqueline centric. It's your personality and your interactions with a lot of wonderful people. And, I have to give you credit for this too. I've known you for more than 5 years, I think. You've been doing this kind of program now for 4. This is your 4th year reunion, which is amazing. And you should be really proud of that accomplishment. Um, so now, after 4 years, what you've got is a circle of people that you know, that you work with, that you've formed contracts with. And on a for-profit, for revenue basis, you produce television programs for them that make it possible for them to get their messages out, whether it's a commercial message or mostly commercial messages. But when we were having lunch that day, we started to think about some of the differences you make in people's lives based on the work that you do on a for-profit basis. And that led to maybe the funding model needs to change. Maybe instead of it being Dr. Jacqueline and Friends, which is kind of what your for-profit business seems to be. I'll need you to, by the way, correct me where I'm wrong on this. It needs to evolve past that into what about people out there who have tremendous, uplifting, interesting stories to tell that could change other people's lives, but they don't have the resources to tell those stories. They don't have the ability to launch a podcast. They don't have the technical resources to get themselves out there and get their message out there. If you could raise money as a not for profit to provide a platform for those voices, those unheard voices, you could change the world with their stories. And to me, that's what your not for profit promises more than anything. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about where that's headed?
I think you hit the mark, really. And part of the journey was that I was encouraged to become a peace ambassador. And just a little backstory, which I may or may not have shared with you, but one of our former team members who's gone off on a journey of singing and performing, shared with me that she was going to submit me for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I literally just laughed out loud. I was like, oh my gosh.
Why not?
Insane. But no judgment. But so I read through the qualifications, and you had to be a peace ambassador first. So I didn't know anything about being a peace ambassador. So I applied, and basically, if you want to be a peace ambassador, you can be a peace ambassador. And it's not about having a title. It's not like, you put it on a name tag or something, but it's about encouraging people to find peaceful resolutions within themselves, and then to give other people peace. And so I got involved with training. I've taken 3 sets of training. I've gone to in-person conventions. And so I really feel that it's a big part of who I am now. And of course, it goes along with elevated listening. So when you think about being a peace ambassador and you take the training, you are exposed to people in other parts of the world who are literally fighting for their life every day. They're living in fear of being killed, of violence that is every single day. And so thinking about those people and how they'd love to share their story, and they can't because they're literally terrified and they have no funding. So that was kind of the impetus based after our conversation for me to move forward and go ahead to file and register for the nonprofit.
Well, you trigger a whole bunch of thoughts with that statement. I mean, we live, I hate to say privileged, because that's an emotionally charged word these days, but we're very fortunate that the day-to-day problems we generally have to deal with are things like burst pipes. We've got to deal with every now and then a pipe doesn't do what it's supposed to do, or every now and then a car doesn't start, or every now and then a car starts but only gets you like halfway to where you want to be and then stops. These things are the kinds of things that we deal with. We're generally not dodging sniper fire on our way to Costco. We're generally not worried about a knock at the door being somebody that could come into that house and do something really nasty. We generally don't. I mean, there's some people in our country, I think, do worry about that and have to worry about that. And the whole point of peace is really to try to find it and try to promote it wherever you can, so that we have less confrontation and less made points, where we're all just trying to make the point that we're so tough or we're so hard or we're so, I mean, you don't get where you need to be by stop. Winston Churchill quote that I remember that I try to use whenever I can is that I never make any progress at all if I had to stop and throw stones at every dog that barked. But your reaction to everything that comes up can become what defines you. And when that defines you, then you start making poor choices and bad decisions. And those bad decisions aren't just bad for other people, they're bad for you. You land on a course. I mean, it is amazing to me that some people who are in some of the most difficult circumstances you can imagine in the world are able to find a peaceful path through all that chaos, largely by reframing the way they interpret it and the way they deal with it. And, the working with you on the not-for-profit, I think, is going to be an opportunity to meet those people, to hear their stories. I'm very excited about that. And to move forward with your value proposition in a whole new way, in a kind of a bigger way, if we can say, for smaller voices, quieter, more peaceful voices. The problem with peace is it's quiet. And I think it needs to be a little louder. I think you can really help with that.
Thank you, Al. I think that sometimes people think peace is overrated, and there are definitely a subset of people who like the drama. They like to stir the pot. They like to instigate, and so we're not necessarily speaking to those people. They're off on their own journey. They can do as they will. But for people who really do believe that we each can raise our hand and say, you know what, I want to be part of peace. I want to find inner peace, and I want to be part of world peace, and give people a voice. So I think USA Global Voices of Humanity Foundation is off and running, and I thank you for taking this journey with me. I'd like to talk a little bit about the television industry, the media industry, because it obviously has changed. We were around when there were rabbit ears on television. So
Well, you're
we,
talking about the technology of it. Yeah.
yeah, I love
Uh-huh.
technology. And so I personally don't have any cable service. Everything I have is just streaming service. Where do you think the television industry is going to go? Any ideas?
Yeah, I some pretty clear ideas, and I think they're backed up by some of the things that I see the industry is doing, and some of the work that they've asked me to do to help them get there. We don't consume media the way, well, I want to say our parents did. I mean, the truth is, when we were kids, I mean, it's embarrassing to say things like, I remember when there were three television channels, in the Philadelphia area, Channel 3, Channel 6, and Channel 10, and that was it. And you consumed media by organizing your day around a schedule that was published in a magazine called TV Guide. So you would look at the TV Guide and you would see what was on tonight at 9 o'clock, or you'd learn from the networks that on a particular channel, a particular program is on every Thursday at 9 o'clock or 9:30, and you organize your day around. I mean, even in the beginning, you didn't have any way of recording any of that, so you had to be there. That was it. Show's on at 9 o'clock. I need to be there at 9 o'clock. Otherwise, I'm going to miss it. I've got no way to. I don't have a TiVo. I don't have a DVR. None of that stuff existed until recently. So, but if you think about the evolution of it, it starts with the program is on, you got to be there to watch it. It starts with that. And then gradually you get more control as a viewer. You can start recording programs so that you don't have to watch them when they're aired. You can watch them later. And we like that control. We kind of like that. And that control over a period of time evolved into what we really have today, which is if there's something I want to watch, I go and find the URL, I watch the stream of it. That's when I watch it. I watch it when I say I want to watch it. And that's changed all kinds of things. I mean, that's changed the format of the TV screen. I mean, right now you're looking at me if you're on a computer. You're looking at me in kind of a oblong widescreen format, 16 by 9, the new transmission format for television. But, a lot of times people are on mobile platforms. So all they see is the center part of the picture, and they scroll through what they want to see by moving from one pane on their phone to another. And all that control is in their hands. And it's something that younger people have embraced it to the point where now the history no longer applies to them. They just don't think in terms of programs that are on a Thursday night at 9 o'clock. I mean, unless, a lot of reality TV is based on that feeling of being in the moment. And so a lot of the content is now, especially on broadcast television, more sports oriented, kind of like we're going to have this event where we're going to put these cameras in these people's houses. We're going to show you what they do, how they cook, how they fight with each other. That reality television kind of a vibe and game shows. I mean, a lot of what television used to do, the drama type television, has now been kind of taken over by streaming services like Netflix. And all of the major networks have streaming services now that they deliver content like Netflix into your home with. And that's been a big part of the technical evolution, made possible to a large extent by the availability of storage. I mean, it used to be that a disk drive was a small, expensive thing, and now apparently disk drives are everywhere, and there's an infinite amount of storage available for people who want to upload videos to YouTube. Uh, and that makes everybody a broadcaster. And that's the interesting part of it. The interesting part of it is the choice that I make could be to watch a major production from the National Broadcasting Company that involve paid actors and sets and camera crews. Or instead of that, I could decide to watch Dr. Jacqueline. And I mean, that puts you in a position of being able to compete with these majors. And that never has existed before in the media business, ever. And that exists now today. I can choose, and the choice that I make is based on the content and its appeal to me, not based on the production values. I don't need anything big anymore. What I need is what I need, whatever that is. And they're struggling with that. I mean, it has put them in a kind of a, I mean, I can tell you, TV networks are always worried about how they're going to cope with maintaining an audience in a highly competitive environment like this. And they've had to adapt around it by changing their content to make it more in the moment type content. And that seems to be where this is all headed. And I as to where to predict it'll land, and now we've got this whole artificial intelligence thing. On top of that, we now have, I don't know if you use AI much. I've been using it a lot lately because we're taking Profit for Teams and we're adapting it for applications to AI that I can tell you about if we have time. But artificial intelligence is a way to produce content. It's a way to write scripts. It's a way to, it's a way for one person to do the work of 10 people if they do it smart, if they do it correctly. And so AI is going to make it possible for individuals to compete with multi-billion-dollar broadcast magnets, and that's a major sea change in the way things work. And we'll see that unfold over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Thank you, Al, for all those great points. I do have some comments to that. The first is we're currently on StreamYard and we're streaming to 9 places live right now. StreamYard actually now has given us the capacity where we can decide, do we want our content to go to the various platforms in the 16:9, which you mentioned, and also, I forget the other format, 2 formats. One is for mobile devices and the other is for computers and televisions. So every time we broadcast a show like this, we actually have 2 entries on our YouTube channel. One is for mobile devices and one is for computers and TVs, which I think is fascinating. And the other point that you made is the major networks where you've worked, NBC, CBS, ESPN, someone like me and someone like our team, we actually are in a similar space now, which was actually kind of validated for the Golden Globes, I believe, which just happened, where podcasters actually were recognized, I believe, for the first time. So you had Mel Robbins, you had Joe Rogan, and you had Will Arnett, and I forget whoever else. They were in a category where they could compete against the other platforms. And there were some disparaging comments that were made about, why are the podcasters here, which, I guess they were threatened because everything that we know about the media industry has really been uprooted. So my question for you is, as someone who's worked in network television and someone who is here today and who's been with me since the very beginning, what do you see the value of doing something like this? Like, it's a snowstorm, it's a Sunday, you got yourself together even earlier than when I had you scheduled. What do you see as the value in doing that when you could be doing something else?
Well, the value, well, for me anyway, the value of doing this is I get to work with you, and that's always fun. And also I'm really quite excited about your mission and its evolution, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to support that in any way. Which means I'm more than willing to make a little bit of time anywhere for you, if it makes sense, to help you support what the change you're trying to make in the world, which is to give everybody an opportunity like this, whoever they might be. And I want to point out, it's kind of funny. Everybody's screaming and squawking now about how podcasters all of a sudden qualify for things like Emmys or Golden Globes, and a couple of years ago, they were screaming and yelling that Paramount Plus had the opportunity to win Globes, and Netflix. Everybody said Netflix, that's a DVD service. A lot of people still remember what Netflix started as. You rent DVDs and get them and plug them in. That's now all of a sudden, Netflix is out of the DVD business. They just stream all their content and you get to pick what you want to watch. And that actually creates a kind of a problem even for Netflix. So, because now actually the industry is coping with this. Netflix is beginning to give their content providers guidance on a problem that they've seen. The problem that they've seen is that somebody could be watching a major expensive production on Netflix, something with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in it, very highly paid actors. and a big supporting cast, and remote shoots, and car crashes, stuff that costs a lot of money. I could tune into that. And at the same time, in my hand, I have my phone. And if my phone all of a sudden pops up, Dr. Jacqueline is going live with USA Global TV and Radio, I will hop over from what Netflix is putting on the air at a huge cost to watch what you're putting on the air because it's more interesting to me. So the whole problem of how do you keep an audience and how do you keep them attentive to what it is you're trying to present to them is now all of a sudden a major problem for very, very big players. Because think about it. What if Dr. Jacqueline had an interview with somebody that was so compelling that a very large, and someday this will be true, by the way, someday a very large number of people are going to want to cut away from what they're getting on Netflix or on one of the major networks to watch what you have to offer. And you're spending a lot less to deliver that content from a technical point of view. I mean, you're putting just as much effort into it, maybe even more. But I mean, that just means that individual choice, what do I want to watch right now, is very variable and very unpredictable. And I mean, nobody really knows where that's going to head. So, I mean, welcome to in the growing world of chaos in the media business, you are very well positioned to win the game, surprisingly enough, even though there are a lot of other players out there with a whole lot more money.
I love this, Al. This is music to my ears. Thank you. You know, it's interesting. One of our colleagues, Mr. Ian Pelham Turner, who's actually ill today and couldn't make it, he said something similar when you and I were doing a show with him a few years ago. And so I think both of you are really predicting where it is that the television network is going. And by the way, I saw that movie, those two actors that you mentioned. I saw it on Netflix. It was pretty good. And
yeah,
I
The
did
Rip, it is a pretty good movie.
Yeah, The Rip is really good. Not paid spokespeople, but I thought to myself, you know, I looked at who was producing it, the executive, like I always look at those things. And so these actors are going out on their own and doing these films, and a lot of them have the funding to do it themselves. But the movie industry has changed so much. Even if you think about artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence, what's the name of the actor? He basically made it so that you can't use his likeness. I forget his name. It'll come to me. Matthew McConaughey, I think. So AI is having a big influence on it. But I just heard recently in one of my trainings at Wharton about quantum physics. And one of the CEOs was saying that quantum physics is going to have even more of an influence than AI is. So we'll see where that plays out. But
yeah, we'll see where that you've actually kind of tapped into a passion study area for me because you know, I mean, the easiest way to lose viewers is say, "No, I'd like to spend 10 minutes talking about quantum physics." I mean, immediately everybody's going to say, "Well, I wonder what's on Netflix." That's going to be it. You're going to lose it. But to give you an idea why this is so important, you know that energy is obviously continues to be an important sector, and I mean, obviously to everybody's economy, and energy basically is a fundamental force of nature that people use all the time without really thinking much about it. Every time you get up and move, you're burning something to generate energy to produce a result. I mean, that happens all the time, and generally that's fossil fuels. I mean, but speaking of quantum physics, and having just gone through a project with a pretty major network about how you distribute power to data center racks. And there are ways to do it that save a whole lot of money. The real future that everybody understands is coming, and it's been promised now for about 70 years, so it's seeming like it's taking a long time, is nuclear fusion, which is quantum physics applied to the problem of generating electricity. And when those kinds of devices come online and begin generating power, an awful lot of the way we work and everything about the way we work is going to change based on that. Nothing is going to be the same after that. And that's now predicted for, well, let's say in a 5 to 10 year window, maybe even less, if with a couple of breakthroughs. And as science gets closer to the fundamental forces of nature, they tap into sources of power and energy that were unimaginably unavailable. I mean, they were completely fantasy land just a few years ago, but now they're approaching reality, and that's pretty amazing stuff. So that's worth tapping into too.
Yeah, for sure. You and I will have a conversation about quantum physics at our next lunch. You can fill
Well,
me in.
sure, as long as there's alcohol involved. I mean, it's very
No,
important.
I
That's my
don't drink anymore, so no.
well, for me, that's
Yeah, for you, the more the
that's
merrier, for
it's
sure.
alcohol. Alcohol is one of my favorite molecules. Anyway,
Oh, we do have a comment from James. Well done on what you're doing. Thank you for watching, sir. We appreciate you. So, Mr. Cini, I just want to say, honestly, Al, thank you so much for the last, I think it's 2019 since you and I officially met, and you have been a bright light in my life in so many ways. You are an incredible mentor, and you're a really good friend, and even more importantly, you're a really good human being. So I appreciate you being here, especially on a Sunday, and coming earlier and staying longer. It really means a lot. So what would you like to leave our audience with today as we close out, and then we welcome Justin?
well, just first of all, Justin, I'm going to stick around for that because he's always fun to watch. I think that's exciting, and that's going to be a great segment. Second of all, if anything like this is going on where you live, where the snow is falling, if you're over 45, pay a kid to shovel it. Don't shovel it yourself. Believe me. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want to do that. And that is my plan. I've got to go out and look for somebody that's willing to shovel what might be, I guess, altogether a foot of snow off the ground by the time this is all done. But I want to thank you, and I want to repeat that comment that you got. What you do, Dr. Jacqueline, is amazing. It has a tremendous benefit and effect in a positive way in the world, and I'm just glad to know you're going to keep